Thanks for tuning in. This is Talks with Carlyle. Talks with Carlyle, where we keep it real and unfiltered. Get comfortable as we discuss topics aimed at you becoming a better individual. And now your hosts, Carlyle Lodge and Kevon Garcia.
Hello and welcome. This is season 2 of Talks with Carlyle. I'm glad to be in the space. I don't know if Carlyle have anything to say at this point.
Hello, and welcome again. For those of you who know me, I have been dormant for some time, but this is my way, alongside my brother Kevon, to get this program back up and running and start sharing the positive initiatives that I have been having for some time, and touch on certain topics that I believe society needs to be aware of, and address it in a professional manner that we can help and assist people as time goes by.
Yeah, so essentially we are doing an overhaul of Talks with Carlyle, and we just want to give you all the best experience and to take away the gems that we will be discussing here, so that you could deal with things a little better in life, or you could just you're not alone. You're not alone with the things that you're going through. Just to give you all a little background about myself, I am in tech. I literally do events. I do digital screens, digital assets, and I am also in the fintech sector as well. But that's just on a professional level. But here, where we'll delve into greater, deeper discussions, I just wanna throw out my disclaimer as well, that I am not perfect. I told Carlyle that from the beginning. Like, I am not perfect, and there are topics that we'll talk about that I probably would have went through or have experience with, and I am completely speaking from the perspective of where I am today. So I do understand that there are some topics coming up in the season that will be they're heavy,
Very heavy.
And I just want to put my disclaimer out where that is concerned. And without further ado, we want to talk about setting boundaries for yourself, and what that looks like and what that entails, and some of the ways around the definite opposition that you will get once you start setting boundaries for yourself. To begin, I think that setting boundaries for yourself is extremely important. It shows self-worth, and most importantly, self-respect. And with setting boundaries comes a lot of opposition from people, and even people that you're close with. It comes with a lot of opposition from them based on habit and pattern and what they would have gotten accustomed to over the years. Because a dynamic shift in now setting a boundary for yourself means that people are gonna say, hey, you just switch up on me, or how come you're doing this? And there will be a whole set of old talk back and forth about you feel you're better than people, this, that, and the other. And you have to hold true to what you believe in setting a boundary. And that's my 2 cents on it. And I'll give you all an example. So I would have started setting boundaries where you cannot speak to me any particular way, be it on a friendship level and a relationship level. We are adults, and if you have an issue with something, I believe you could come and speak to me and say, Kev, you're on shit, or Kevon, I don't like this, or Kevon, you didn't stay true to your word, or anything like that. I don't believe in jumping down somebody's throat and cussing and this, that, and the other. We're all adults, and don't get me wrong, there are times when I will curse, and the other person will curse. And I'm not saying no, but what I'm saying is, when you're having a conversation with me, as far as the way that you speak to me, I am not a dog, I am not a rag doll, I am a person just like you. And those are one of my most important boundaries, and that goes to anybody, male or female.
I have to agree with you. I also think that a lot of people don't. There's a concept that I try my best to live by, right? And the concept is, if there's something that I do not like for myself, or I don't want to be done to me, I would not project that onto other people. Regardless if it is they okay with it being done to them, the fact that I know I don't like it, I am not going to project that on them. And I think a lot of people, that flies over their heads. So I will treat you a particular way because this is how I'm feeling at the moment, right? But if it was the reverse, they themselves would have a problem with it, And as I rightfully say, it's about self-respect, right? It's about knowing your value. People will think that it's cocky because they would know you to be one particular way, and then when it is you going through that transition and they put up those barriers, it's like a change. Yes, you have changed, because it is human nature for us to grow. We can never be stagnant, right? And if it is you look at your life year after year after year, and you realize, if it is you're being honest with yourself, obviously, that you are the same person and there's no growth, then you need to take a deeper look within yourself. Because the older you get, is the more you will experience different things, and you need to adapt to the situations or the circumstances that you may encounter. And each of these things are going to bring out a different side of you, right? A wiser side of you, a side with more clarity, and it could never be the same person in moving forward. So I have to agree with you that setting standards and boundaries is very important.
Yeah, and I'm paraphrasing here, but there's a verse by Jay-Z where he says, something. They watch you strange and say you've changed, but I tell them every time, are you crazy? I work so hard not to remain the same. And I think that on the topic of setting boundaries for yourself, you can't be afraid of changing something within yourself. You can't be afraid of setting a new standard or setting a new precedent for yourself. Like I remember when I was dating, there was this girl who said, I don't take calls after a certain hour. And it's like, what? You're not taking calls after a certain hour, you're running racket, or like what? Like, were you really telling me? But in hindsight, she was probably busy with her other stuff and whatever she was doing. So after a certain hour, she probably know, all right, I can't be gallivanting after a certain time because I need rest to function the day tomorrow. And that's how her routine goes. And at the end of the day, we gotta respect people's routines, whatever people doing in their lives. So if there's a boundary set, that I have to respect that. And then that was so strange to me. You telling me that you're not gonna take my call, even though that I say that I'm interested in you, or we going out, or whatever the case is. Like, how that is even equate. But then at the same time too, it's about respecting the boundary and not pushing back. Not pushing back, or not trying to, how to say, make her feel bad, or somebody generally feel bad, because they have a particular habit that you don't practice at all. But then I tried that, and you don't take calls after a certain hour. So I literally put my phone on do not disturb at 10:15.
And is it working for you?
It is working beautifully for me.
See,
At 10:15, if I'm not engaged in doing something or working on something and I actively have to use my phone, the peace that I get from my phone not ringing off or pinging because of a message or a group chat or email, I have retained a lot more peace over the years since I put that in place. So it is very important and very beneficial for setting boundaries for yourself. And if you have already, maybe you could tell us what boundaries that you set for yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be any of the ones that we discussed, but you know yourself. And if you haven't already set boundaries for yourself, we encourage you to set boundaries. And maybe you could give us that list. You could give us a list in the comments, or send us an email, anything like that, on social media, comment under the post, and just tell us what your boundaries are. Because without boundaries, and we have a mutual friend who always says this, there must always be order.
Always.
There must always
and I know when you hear that, you know it's man.
There must always be order. There's a time and place for everything. So boundaries are critical.
And to be honest, just to go in the same alignment with what it is you're saying, right? I think most people, because we have been so engrossed in our own habit, we expect when it is we meet people that they sort of conform to the things that we want.
The norm.
That is the norm, right?
Yeah.
So if it is I am, engaging in conversations with you, I find you should respond to me in a particular time. And I find if it is I call you, you should answer, right?
Correct.
And I just try to convince people as much as I can that the onus is not on you to change a person. Mm-hmm. They will change by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So do not get upset if a person is not taking your calls. Do not get upset if it is they're taking forever to respond to your messages. If that is something that you want and they are not reciprocating that, I suggest that you remove yourself.
Correct.
Right? Don't try to change them. Don't get upset with them. They are being who they are, and you are also being who you are by not accepting those things. And it's not a bad thing, It's not a bad thing that if it is I message you, I expect you to respond in a timely manner. That is not a bad thing. That is your personality. But if another person is not, along those same lines, don't get upset with them. You remove yourself, and hopefully there might be somebody out there who will reciprocate those same things to you, and that is one of your problems and themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that is what goes on a lot, especially in this era right now.
Yeah, and I think with respect to that, I am guilty of, you message somebody and they're taking long to message you.
I'm more than guilty.
And, you're upset, and, you when they actually finally message you, it's like, you don't want to talk, but they genuinely was busy, or, again, they probably set a boundary. My phone bringing off too much, and I really just need a break from my phone. They rest the phone on the table, and they went and do whatever else they had to do, whether it be cook, sleep, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I blew mad, because the norm is, if I shoot a message, I had to get a response.
Yeah.
I had to get a response, and I taken that as disrespect. But as you go along in life and you meet different people and you mature, most importantly, you realize that people really do put these boundaries in place for their own mental health. And
which is important.
Me getting upset for a message is just wasted energy on my part. I can't get vexed because I message you and you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to reply, and I just wasting energy, upset, and I have all these thoughts in my head as to what you want could be possibly doing, or you ignoring me, when really and truly you throw your phone on the table, your phone in your handbag, your phone wherever, and you watching Netflix, and it's only because you went to the fridge or something and you pick up your phone. It's like, shucks, Kev message me, boy, Let me reply to him and see what he's seen. And when you actually reply, I done waste a set of energy because I don't know what you was doing and my mind going on a tangent.
Back in the days, I was that same way. After that, I don't want to talk with you.
Yeah.
And I do it for spite. I'll be honest with you. Right? Just like Kev had the disclaimer earlier on, I am not perfect. I have done things in the past, but it was all a learning experience and it made me who I am today. I was very spiteful. And I would see you respond to me, and Kev, for spite, for spite, I show you I read the message, and I'm not going to answer you. And don't call my phone. Don't call my phone, because, and I let you know, I hang it up, I show you that I don't want to talk.
And it's different, boy.
No, and here the toxic thing after. You know when it is, that time pass and I phase out. I go and call you back and act like if nothing ever happened, you know.
No.
That is how I used to be, no cap. You know, but...
From you, boy. Yeah, from you, boy.
But you live
and
you learn. You know, and you get to realize that the same way that person is protecting their peace and their mental sanity, you have to do it for yourself as well. You know, you just have to respect people's boundaries, because you would want people to respect the boundaries that you have set for yourself as well. You know?
Yeah, I agree. And you know, some examples are boundaries that in interacting with people that I've come across. You know, there are people who they just need 5-10 minutes in the morning before they
interact with the world.
Interact with the world. They need that 5-10 minutes for themselves. And even in the opposite as well. Like, they get home, they will just remain in their car 5-10 minutes. That is all they need for themselves before they come out and deal with the world again. You know, like, you know, I've had people who say, like, don't call me before 9 a.m. Like, I getting up, it's time for myself, I'm making breakfast, I working out, I function in 9. From 9, you could call me, we could talk about business and whatever. And even in a meeting that Lodge and I went together, the guy was like, don't look for me on a Wednesday. I go and exercise. You know, I doing my thing on that day. And that's a boundary, you know, and that just goes to show that boundaries are so critical, especially in this time with social media, and you have everything just coming at you, and it's like, yo, when again I ease up, when again I break. Like, set your boundaries, set healthy boundaries for yourself. Set healthy boundaries for yourself. And regardless of what people say in terms of, oh, you switch up and this, that, and the other, ignore that. Ignore that, because you have to take care of yourself, and that's super important. Super important.
Also, anything that is progressing you as a person, that makes you become better than the person that you were yesterday, once you are on that path, like I rightfully said, don't study nobody. Right? Don't study nobody. That is your life. You know, and you're rising not to the bad, you're rising to the good, you're becoming a better person. You know, and my mother always used to tell me this, you know, not everybody will accept the new you. You understand?
Absolutely.
They would not accept the new you. So you would have friends, even family. It could even reach down to family. Like, there will be people who are accustomed to you being one way, and when it is you outgrow that phase of your life and you start to see things different, obviously your pattern and your behavior is going to change. That is something they wouldn't be accustomed to. And instead of accepting it like, you know, hey, this is the new Carlyle, this is the new Kevin, you know, let me see how they're going to operate. They don't want to change, so they're stuck in their old ways. So the easiest thing is to do what? Criticize, scrutinize, you know?
They're stuck in how they see you, what you were before. They're stuck there, and you know, they will always be like, oh, Kevin this, or Carlyle this, or this, that, and the other, and you move on 50 miles from where you once were. And it's really just,
they're not seeing that far,
yeah, they're not seeing that far, but it's easier. I don't want to say easier said than done, but when you are probably hurt or bitter from a perspective of you seeing that person going about making changes, and people might be saying, well, hey, Carlyle different now, or this Carlyle doing this, and Carlyle before, and he wasn't doing that. Just like, oh, he thing, and he this, and he that, and the other. We had to move away from how we perceive people, because when the shoe is on the other foot, where you will want people to see the good in you and the differences that or the strides that you would have made from where you once were, whether it be a mistake and that kind of thing, you would hope to, or even anticipate, or even in some circumstances demand that same respect or that same outlook.
Oh, most definitely.
And it's important to let things go and allow people to be who they are.
Allow them.
Yeah.
Allow them. Don't ever try to change them. The only person that you should be interested in changing is yourself. Right? And I know a lot of people have the notion as well, I am one way and I'm going to remain one way. Take me as I am. I'm not going to change. Right? That has pros and cons behind it, right? Because like we mentioned earlier on, if it is something good and you're improving on yourself, then change is necessary. Though change is necessary across the board, because there's no way that anybody who right now look back at themselves 10, 15 years going and think, well, I am the same person. We have all changed and the experiences brought about it, right?
Yeah.
So don't, as your own individual person, don't feel bad for making changes within your life. Because it's about growth.
Yeah, I agree.
It's about growth. Don't feel bad for making changes, and there are changes that you need to make in order to present yourself differently, because there are experiences and circumstances you are going to encounter in life, and they would require a different level of you to make sure that it is a smooth transition.
Not even require. There are some new experiences in life that demands a different you.
Correct.
It demands a different you.
You have to be that person.
You have to be that person. And that is something that I have observed and lived through. At every new level of your life demands a new version of you.
Correct.
And it all ties back into, taking that initial step in checking yourself and really setting boundaries for yourself, right? Because those boundaries could breed new habits, and those new habits could then transform into productivity in areas of your life that you would not have seen before. And then you'd realize that people saying, oh, Kevin is really focused on, like, when you give him something to do, or he real conscious or about particular things now, or he paying particular attention to detail. And all of that comes from just forming one habit, right? Which is just simply setting a boundary, right? And just to put things into total perspective, for example, I taking calls right through. Whenever you message me, whenever you thing, I reply. You could count on me to reply to you. And that's fine, right? But then I am tasked with finishing a project. And I continue to allow people to message me, and I take in calls all hours of the night, and I go in right down. And then if I don't say at some point, put myself in check and be like, yo, you're not going to get this project finished if you continue doing what you're doing. So, and you're doing it all the time. So when I say, hey, Lodge, like, I cool on, like, after 9 and thing, just try calling our other partners and thing. Like, I cool after 9, I unavailable. He go and watch me cook. Yeah, you gonna be like, dog, you want shit or?
Is that one boy?
Just so you and your feelings, or how come all of a sudden after 9 you don't want to message, nothing in the group, nothing? I said, nah, cool, I had to finish this project. And me and Lodge's Lime, we real good. You know, that shouldn't affect me setting that boundary, shouldn't affect our friendship. It shouldn't affect the way we interact with each other. But there are times when you will set a boundary and a friend will get so upset that you might lose that friend. They might stop talking to you. They might start to be like, well, you feel you better than me, and because you working on a project, you feel that, you know, I under you now.
Leave them, let them go.
Let them go.
Leave them, let them go.
Because then, when I stop taking calls and I start to focus more on the project, and let's say I finish the project, it's an opportunity for me.
Exactly.
That is again that is the window for me to progress. And you know, it ties into everything that we would have discussed, where setting a boundary for yourself shows self-love, self-respect, and worth.
Discipline as well.
As well as discipline. Agreed. Almost forget that important one. You know, so we encourage you to set boundaries, and healthy boundaries at that. Not no jackass boundary that you're just giving somebody an excuse for because you don't want to talk to them. You stand firm on what you say. Yo, I cool. After 10, don't just call me unless we talking or I initiate a conversation after 10. Like, don't call me. Like, I cool. That's my time.
And just to conclude as well, as you mentioned not too long ago, that if it is you do set those boundaries and you realize that people are not adhering, or they're not particularly like the way that you are going, don't feel bad. Do not feel bad, right? That is a new level of yourself that you are unlocking, and not everyone is expected to understand nor respect it. But the ones who do, you will see them, right? So you do you continue to progress, you continue to set your boundaries, you continue to become a better version of yourself each and every day. Because as the saying goes, the person you are today is supposed to be better than the person you were yesterday, and the one tomorrow is supposed to be the one better than today. And like, engage yourself with that mindset, and always try to say, today I'm going to be one step closer to who I want to become. Don't rush it. Take it in strides, right? But in order to start that process, you must set boundaries.
Agreed. So I just want to take it further. Like, okay, so I have a question. You set a boundary, and somebody that you would have expressed that boundary to continuously crosses that boundary. Like, how would you deal with that situation?
Firstly, I have a very strong personality, so I let you know one time what going on. You understand? In a respectful manner, of course, right? I am going to tell you, like, let us use the whole phone thing, for example, right? After hours or a certain hour, I don't take phone calls, and you're ringing down my phone, right? And the next day, I do get on to you and you make an issue about it. I am going to indicate to you that after these hours, this is my time, this is my peace time. I'm being on my own. I do my own shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that is a problem for them and they continue to make that a problem, I am going to let them know that this was not going to work out, right? I am not going to ask them to change. I'm not going to ask them to accept me for who I am. I will just remove myself. But in my instance, the thing about it is that is something I would relate to somebody even before we get that deep.
Right.
I will
right.
give them that heads up. There are certain
yeah.
things, because I know how people think in here. I know how people think in society, right?
Right.
So there are certain things that I will give you a heads up one time, and I don't expect you to understand it or accept it immediately. There might be sometimes you would cross the boundary, right?
Right.
Again, I will indicate that to you that this is a boundary that I've set, and you're crossing it, and it's something that I don't really appreciate.
Right. Right.
But once it is, you continue to do it. I'm not going to get angry with you. I'm not going to get upset with you. Yo, this ain't fucking working. better we go we separate ways. You go, yeah, and you find somebody that behavior that you have. You find somebody that could tolerate that. I not on that.
Yeah.
And I go my way. That's how I would have deal with it,
Yeah.
But I know that people, for the sake of not losing that person, they would try to adjust.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It can't be a give and take.
No.
It have to be hard and fast on those decisions, because then by you reneging on your own boundary that you set for yourself, it shows a lack of respect for self.
Correct.
So if I say, yo, though, after 9, that's after 9 or 10, that's my time, right? I just call in random times. That's my time, and I constantly calling you for long conversation after that, right? At some point you're gonna be like, well, I didn't just tell Kevin like 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago that yo, I looking to sleep because I just have a long commute to work, and work just be, I give him the whole explanation, and you still just in total disregard for, my time or my boundary or my personal space. Like, as mad disrespect, and you don't have to cuss somebody, you don't have to spit on somebody to disrespect them. You understand? Just those little things, and in dealing with people, all those things count as disrespect as well.
They do. It's not always, as I rightfully say just now, you don't have to be aggressive or curse and get on like a jackass.
Yeah, but
you simply just
you need to stand firm on
you simply just doing something that a person is not appreciated of doing.
Yeah.
That is disrespect. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine that it could be strange to them, but they need to respect that boundary, and you need to stand firm on those decisions. And I can tell you before, like I really, back, I could say 5 years ago, I didn't understand the concept of boundaries, or the just dealing with people in general, and how you deal with people. Like, I didn't understand that at all. And through trial and error, I suppose, I guess we'll call it life, you really come to realize that you have to have an appreciation for everybody because of whatever, the way their job, how they grew up, things that would have happened to them, how their behavior. Yeah,
there's a lot of factors to take into consideration.
You kind of have to have an appreciation for everything. And if somebody says I don't do X, then I have to respect that you don't do X, right? And I can't be mad or hold you in mind for those things, because that's your lifestyle, that's what you do. We just need to appreciate that and move on, and just not constantly crossing the line and, invigilating you, so to speak, to do X when you say, yo, that's my boundary, I cool.
Don't upset my spirit. Don't upset my spirit.
That's a common thing.
No, you upset my spirit. And we were talking about disrespect earlier on. That is where I will disrespect. I will cuss you. I will cuss if it is I find you're cussing it too much. Because if I realize a solid and professional conversation not doing the trick, and you still continue to come underneath my skin, I'm going to remove myself, but I had to cuss you out before I do it. I had to get a cussing.
Yeah, because what that points to is you don't have any respect for me.
Exactly.
You don't have any respect for me. And I mean, people will be people, but we need to really pick and choose, who we associate with in that regard.
Most important. Most important.
And just clear communication in terms of, these are my boundaries. This is the standard that I have for myself, and I'm not accepting anything less.
Agreed.
Yeah, male or female, like, have a standard for yourself.
Realize it.
Yeah. So just, thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode. This is our first episode of season 2. Once again, we appreciate the support. We appreciate you interacting with us, and feel free in the comments, let us know what boundaries you set for yourself. Comment on the our social media. Write us a review on Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Talks with Carlyle.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Talks with Carlyle. We hope that the gems dropped allows you to navigate life a bit easier. Please share this episode with a friend and follow us on social media. And leave us a comment and rate the show. Until next time.